All right, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw that the S&P pretty much balanced within the middle of yesterday's range, but it held above that 67 to 69 breakout area, which means buyers are still in control. So heading into the open, we have initial support 67.75 to 69.75, and any pullback to that zone can still attract buyers for a continuation type trade back up towards the 73.74, and then yesterday's high at 76.5 to 78.5. The overall bias is going to remain bullish above the 61.5 to 63.5 bull bear zone, but if this market is truly strong, then we really should not get a deep pullback all the way down towards that area. Ideally, we hold the initial support zone and then continue heading higher. So, if we break below initial support, it is a bit of a red flag, but it doesn't change the bigger picture. And, even the short term, we could see a little bit of a pullback, perhaps down to the open gap at 64.5. The bull bear zone, if we break initial support, the overall structure would remain bullish above the bull bear zone, and buyers can still be active on first test of 64.5 and 61.5 to 63.5. On the upside, yesterday's high is really the main resistance area, and beyond that we have resistance at 81.5 to 83.5. But as far as shorting this market goes, because buyers are still in control above 74, we are going to have a very similar stance on the short side as we did yesterday, which is that we're really only going to consider shorting the market if the market is short-term overextended or exhausted heading into a resistance area, and there's potential for a 5 or 6 point rotation. If the market is behaving very strong intraday and it seems like there's not going to be much of a pullback, then there's really no point in shorting this market. It's only worth it if you can get 5 or 6 points out of it. So, for those reasons, if we, for example, balance near the top of yesterday's range and then put in a breakout, we're not going to short initial resistance. In that case, the market may have to go up towards 85.5 or 87 in order to consider a short setup targeting a pullback to 81.5 to 83.5. So that's how we're going to be approaching the short side above 74. And, below 74 we have the support areas where the expectation is for buyers to be active. The main catalyst this morning is the new home sales number at 9 a.m. Central, and then after that, we have Apple and Facebook reporting earnings after the close. So it could be, a bit of a balanced type session or kind of a slower pace. Once the reaction to new home sales is out of the way, then the next catalyst is really going to be the earnings reports, which are due after the close. And for that reason, we might not see any big, sustained directional movement on the day time frame. So, let's keep that part in mind too, that because of the earnings release scheduled after the close, that is really the next catalyst after new home sales. And, due to that, the markets could kind of remain in balance or just kind of continue, balancing within yesterday's range, or maybe extend the range by a bit up to initial resistance and then start balancing. But the overall day could just develop into more of a range-bound day, where we don't really get a directional move until after those earnings reports are out of the way. If you're watching NQ, then this 3570 to 3574 is short-term support in NQ. The breakout from yesterday was above 3563.75 in NQ. So, in the event that we get any pullbacks towards those levels in NASDAQ, that can attract buyers in that market, and then S&P will probably be at support as well at the same time, and that can be a trigger for a long setup. If you're watching TF, as long as TF is holding above 1145, we should be okay. But in the event of a deeper pullback, we would still be looking for support near yesterday's breakout area, which is around 41 to 42. So just some numbers to keep in mind for those other markets. But the overall bias continues to be bullish, and will remain bullish until we start seeing some major support areas being broken, which we haven't seen so far. So far the market has been trudging higher and continues to establish a range at higher prices from one day to the next. So today could be kind of a pause in that pattern where again we just balance in a wider range, but the overall bias will continue to be bullish, and we will be looking for long setups on pullbacks into support using the resistance zones as targets. Pullbacks for long setups into support here, and then looking for a push up to the 73, 74. That's a very near-term target, and then ideally we want to see S&P push higher to 76.5 to 78.5. Test yesterday's high, perhaps find some sellers there, balance a bit, and then eventually, attempt to move up to 81.5 to 83.5 on the day time frame today. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see how well the buyers can hold it together here at initial support, and we'll take it from there.